Hi, you guys. How are you? Heather Graham here, making my capstone video. I'm so excited. I have really enjoyed this crawl. And if you know anything about me, I can be a little bit long and rambling. So I have prepared something to read before I do the review. Hold on one second, please. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, wait, that's the wrong thing. Okay, it is kind of long. So, oh, wait. Wow, that is long. Sorry, it's very thorough. All right. Okay, here we go. Over the course of reviewing mentor courses and participating in this course crawl experience, I have reflected deeply on the design, structure, engagement strategies, and tools that support effective online teaching. One of the biggest takeaways from this process is that online course design is truly a continuous revision process. As instructors, we're constantly learning from one another, learning from our students, and refining our courses to create more meaningful learning experiences. I also want to reflect briefly on the collaboration aspect of this experience. We were asked at the beginning of the crawl how the collaboration was going, and I think at first I was considering our direct group collaboration with other instructors, like for example in my Dubliners group, and it didn't, I think I made a remark that it didn't feel collaborative uh from that perspective, just because we were only kind of meeting during discussion posts and it felt otherwise autonomous. And then the Padlet uh element, I don't know. I just always it just still it not, nothing beyond the discussion post really seemed to connect me to my fellow learners or participants in this crawl. However, when I was thinking about it afterward, just the consideration of collaboration, I now I'm going back to my script. I began to see it as a collaborative opportunity to learn from so many different instructors and seeing your courses throughout the crawl. So it became a collab, I shifted my perspective and saw it as a very wonderful collaborative process. Uh, and being able to observe the approaches, creativity, organization, and teaching styles of my colleagues across disciplines was incredibly valuable and inspiring. I found myself constantly reflecting on how I could adapt many of these ideas to strengthen my own courses. One of the strongest impressions came from Professor Nye's class. I hope I'm saying that Nye is either Nye or Nee. It's a beautiful name. The orientation module was especially inspiring because it was extremely clear, thorough, and student-centered. There was a welcoming instructor page, complete with badges and visually engaging banners, immediately establishing a strong instructor presence and helping humanize the course. I especially appreciated the graduation photo choice because students can relate to it and see a sense of achievement reflected in the course design. The extensive student services and supports program directory was one of the most thorough support pages I have ever seen, and it reinforced the importance of ensuring students know where to access help. I also admired the use of drop-down menus throughout her course, the learning objectives and quick checks at the end of each module, and the structure of each module with agenda pages, readings, lecture videos, discussions, quizzes, extra credit opportunities. This course demonstrated excellent organization while still maintaining warmth and engagement. excuse me, Professor Larson's course reinforced several design principles that I strongly agree with, particularly the importance of keeping the Canvas navigation sidebar uncluttered and easy to use. I appreciated details such as the how to get help from a tutor page because it gives students a clear and inviting direction for support. I also like the inclusion of the textbook cover image for visual learners and the Canvas profile setup video, which I actually included in mine, but that's for later. Since many students struggle with uploading profile photos or simply avoid doing it altogether, I have found uh or my least favorite thing when they upload a black nothing and drives me nuts. One idea I definitely plan to incorporate is a dedicated citing sources page. Now that actually um that was in Professor Larson's yes, Larson's page, which I really liked. The thing that I wonder if we can change is the fact that it's APA dominant. There's like a little link to MLA, and that's what my students need to use. So I opted not to use the citing sources page for now, but it is in the back of my mind, and I did look into doing so, but for the reasons I just said, I decided not to. I did something else though, which I'll share with you. I also appreciate the use of lecture note requirements and the disabling of the fast forward feature on lecture videos to encourage active engagement with course content. Although I was unable to access Professor Stafford Banks's course, I still appreciated the thoughtful instructor image and environmental science themed design elements that visually connected to the course content. I was also interested in learning more about Camtasia and the possibility of embedding quizzes directly into lecture videos. I currently create lecture videos through Zoom and upload them through YouTube and then embed them into my course, but I recognize that there are more there are likely but I but I recognize that there are likely more interactive methods available that could improve student engagement and support learning. And I do plan to in the future incorporate the lectures with embedded quizzes through Camtasia. Professor Wassinger's course highlighted the value of clarity and flexibility in course design. I appreciated the Start Here button on her homepage because students benefit from having an obvious and clear starting point. I also like the inclusion of a students who add late policy, which I should do actually. Um, that I'm gonna do today after I make this video. Okay, which is something I plan to add to my own syllabus, and I forgot to do that. Another interesting idea involves students submitting video or recorded responses instead of traditional writing assignments, especially for the engagement activity, uh, to support originality and authentic engagement. So I'm going to do that in my I just need to tweak a couple more things and I will add that as it actually I think it's included in my engagement activity now, but it's not necessarily emphasized. So I think I'm going to emphasize it a little bit more. Anyway, back to my script. Professor Holdaway's course introduced several concepts I found extremely useful. Also, she looks like a Vogue model on her cover page. Um, okay, so especially her Set Yourself Up for Success page. This page provides students with concrete strategies and expectations for succeeding in the course, which it helps to establish accountability later on. I did do that in my course, but what I did is I um created a long list of students' comments in their final survey, in the course survey. I always ask what would you advise future students? And so I took all of their quotes from this last semester and put like it's quite long, but that for now is my tips for success page, hearing it from other students. Another concept I found intriguing was the liquid syllabus. I appreciate it. I did not use it this time. It is something I'm going to consider for the future. I find it fascinating though. One of the most influential courses for me throughout this process was Professor Mendez's course. Her philosophy that things should be easy to find for students strongly aligns with my own beliefs in course design. In fact, mine was already very similar to hers in the first place, which is probably why I liked it. Um, while I admire courses with elaborate features and extensive design elements, Professor Mendez's course reinforced the importance of creating courses that are streamlined, organized, and easy to navigate so students can focus on learning the content rather than trying to navigate the course itself. Her extensive roadmap structure rather, communication plan, weekly announcements, direct messaging strategies, assignment feedback practices, and mid-semester check-ins inspired several major updates to my own course. And again, it kind of felt very natural to me because I already was doing so many things, but I did infuse with some of her great ideas. Uh, as a result, I redesigned my of kind of influenced by Professor Mendez's course. I did redesign my homepage to make it clearer, more visually engaging, and easier for students to navigate. Thank you again, Cindy, for meeting with me and helping me do that. It was fantastic, and I'll show you guys how what I did in just a sec. I added more instructional and welcome videos throughout the course to strengthen RSI and help humanize the online learning environment. I also substantially updated and expanded my syllabus so students have clear expectations, policies, resources, and support information from the start. In addition, I created a more intentional communication plan for my courses, inspired by the strong instructor communication I observed through the crawl. This includes regular Canvas announcements, clearer weekly guidance, reminders, encouragement, and more consistent outreach to students. I also developed a template for weekly announcements that is really inspired by the announcements from the crawl that Tanya, Amber, and Cindy created for us. Another major takeaway throughout this process, of course, as many of us are aware of, the importance of RSI, maintaining a strong instructor presence in our online classes, which I added quite a few to reinforce my own commitment to being visible, approachable, and engaged with students throughout the semester. Professor O'Brien's reflection also resonated with me when she stated that students don't always need more content, they need clearer ways to move through it. I strongly agree with this perspective. It can be tempting to overload online courses with tabs, accordion pages, links, and resources, but too much information can become overwhelming and ultimately distract students from learning. This experience helped reinforce my commitment to streamlining content and improving clarity throughout my courses. Overall, this course crawl was incredibly valuable and inspiring. Reviewing so many thoughtfully designed courses remind me that effective online teaching is never static. It is an ongoing process of reflection, revision, creativity, and responsiveness to student needs. I am excited to continue implementing the ideas and strategies I learned throughout this experience to create courses that are clearer, more engaging, and more supportive, and ultimately more effective for students. So, if you don't mind, I'll now share with you my course and show you some of the changes I made. This is my new homepage. Thanks again, Cindy. This was so helpful. I downloaded a template with her hand. She held my hand while I downloaded a new template and created links. So this is the new starting page. And it includes the links to specific modules as well as the course communication plan right on the right up front. So if and when my students were to click on the syllabus, there will be taken to the Start Here page. Here's my syllabus. I have expanded it to include a communication plan, which was there in the first place, but I think I had it called feedback, and it wasn't as complete as it is now. So you can see that. All right. Just to make my RSI as compliant as possible. Another addition for RSI, I'm I'll come back up to those, but in each module I added, they all follow the same pattern. So I'll just kind of show you quickly. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so they all have the same pattern in the first place. But what I did add was in each module at the end, a ungraded discussion area for students where they're welcome to discuss whatever they want, basically, about our short story selections. And of course, they still have a graded discussion post in each module. So it's here. But then at the end of each one, they have a space for them to communicate with their peers. And I tell them in the instructions, I used alliteration to be cute. In the past, I've had a student lounge area in my discussion in the discussions area, but literally never, ever in like 10 years was it ever used once. So I just decided to kind of do away with that and make it a little more enticing and just, you know, more localized to the modules specifically. Another thing I did that was inspired by so many of the courses I saw was include a prerequisite for my modules. So they are locked until they have completed the previous module, as you can see. Coming back up here, as I was mentioning in my long-winded speech, instead of including a citation page specifically for my students, now remember I am an English professor, so it's kind of important to have these resources. And so I've included a whole module for dedicated to MLA support. And I also uploaded the Canvas orientation module from Design Plus, I think, or I don't know, something, or the what is it, Commons, the Commons library, whatever it was. You guys know what I'm talking about. And found that all the videos didn't work. So what I ended up doing was go through just as per Cindy's instructions, Google it, right? And found Canvas, the replacement videos. And I had a very impressive, like all of this was like twice the size, but when I realized I had to go in and edit each one, I got rid of the stuff that we won't use in class. So this orientation module has been streamlined just for the use of this class. Yes. The other thing I did to improve RSI is make a video for each module, and it covers the what to expect, encourages them to get started early, it's all tailored to the module. They're about 15, let me see how long this one is. They're usually like 15, okay, or 25 minutes long, which isn't so bad, but I did add videos to each module in the syllabus module. Oopsie daisy. Here, I need to enable that. I did add I added a nice and it's very brief student introduction. This is like 2 or 3 minutes long, I think. Yeah, 2 minutes long. And then it's just like, hi, nice to meet you kind of a thing. And then I did a syllabus overview. And that's about 25 minutes long. So I carefully go over the syllabus with the student and walk them through the flow of the class a little bit as well. So each module has a video. There's a welcome video, there's a syllabus video, and I will be sending the welcome video and the syllabus video out about a week prior to the course starting, and maybe even a brief list of reading selections if they wanted to get started early. So let me see if I'm forgetting anything. I do want to just show you guys that I immediately after I got off my Zoom meeting with Cindy and finished that up, I did it all by myself using the template and did my other section. So the one I just showed you is my literature class. This is my composition class. Looks exactly the same, made all the same changes, and I did not create a sandbox for this presentation simply because these will launch on June 8th. I'm teaching summer, but just to kind of show you guys, it looks exactly the same. This one. So this is an example of what the Canvas orientation looked like originally. I'm going to delete this and replace it with the one that I found the live videos for. And then they have their MLA module. I just need to reorder this a little bit. I think I did 2 imports. So this one is just a little bit just needs a couple more tweaks. But the one I actually really worked on for the crawl, so I just need to finish that up before June 8th. Just wanted to show you that I made those updates and that Cindy's time wasn't wasted, but this was the class that is basically finished for the crawl, and thanks to the crawl. So thanks everybody. I hope that you have a great summer. It's been wonderful participating in this crawl. It's invaluable, and anyway, I hope to stay in touch and I'll see you all soon. Thanks you guys.